This ministry content is brought to you by the partners of Savelle Ministries.
That pigeon will fly up into the air, circle 3 times, and go right back to where you brought him. He said no other creature on earth has that remarkable goal-seeking function except you. Human beings are the only people, besides this pigeon, who have the ability to get so focused on a vision. And when you start moving towards the vision starts moving towards you. Hey, I'm terrisavellefoy, your cheerleader of dreams. I want to talk to you today about how to discover if you have the right dreams for your life. You know, that's a question I get a lot, and I've wondered the same thing from time to time, in my own life. But years ago, my dad and I did a TV show together. And I was just there to co-host the show, and I said, Dad, what are we going to talk about today? And he said, the 7 indicators you have a dream from God. I said, can I have those notes when we're done? And I literally made copies. Well, today I want to briefly cover 3, but I want you to have all 7 so you can use it as a checklist to confirm whether or not you have God's dream for your life. So just click the link in the description and get that free checklist right now. The 7 indicators you have a dream from God. I actually put it in my new book, The Alone Advantage. So I'm giving you the free chapter that covers that. Okay, so number 1 is if it captures your imagination. In other words, you dream about it when you're awake. If it's a dream from God, you cannot get it out of your mind. You go to bed thinking, wondering, imagining. You wake up and it's there again. Now, I love how Einstein, who I happen to have, he said, your imagination is everything. It's simply a preview of life's coming attractions. I love this dog because look, his little hand goes, think about it. Well, think about when you go to a movie and you see a preview. You don't see the whole film, you just see little snapshots of what's about to play. It's the same thing when you sit with God and you just imagine your ideal life. You see snapshots of what's possible. Whatever you're truly imagining yourself doing, it's there for a reason. You think about the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11:6. It says, nothing they have imagined they can do will be impossible for them. See, God expects you to visualize, imagine where He wants to take you. I remember imagining speaking to a large group of women, having my own conference one day, and it looked so far-fetched, but I began picturing it in my head. I even had my coworker print a photo, here it is, of Joyce Meyer's conference and replace Joyce with me. I was making that image just come alive by seeing it. And it looked dumb, ridiculous, comical. There's little Terry on Joyce's stage. But the more I imagined it, the less ridiculous it became. I couldn't stop picturing that being my reality one day. See, you need to do the same thing with your far-fetched dream. Now, you know by now that you must have your dreams, of course, in writing. And if you really want to kick it up, add images to your dream. Now, you may say, Terry, I've heard you say this before, but that's no sign you got it. That's no sign you're doing it. Brian Tracy said, and this is pretty rough, he said, people say, gosh, I wish my life was better. He said, then show me your written goals. And they say, well, I don't have any written goals. Brian Tracy said, then don't tell me you wish your life was better because you're lying to me and you're lying to yourself because you really don't want to improve your life if you've been told 1,000 times you got to have written goals and you don't have any. Then he said, just go away. He said, I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm trying to drive a point home. Well, when I had dinner with him again last August of this year, he sat across the table in a bowl of clam chowder again, and he said, when you have a dream or a goal, write it down, write it down, write it down. I said, I got this point. Now, why is it so important to look at your written dreams and images? Well, do you remember the story of Abraham when God told him he was going to be the father of many nations? And he said, Abraham, go outside and look at the stars. Can you count them? That's how many kids you're going to have. Then he said, Abraham, look at the sand. Can you count the grains of sand? That's how many kids you're going to have. Think about this principle. Abraham lived out in the desert. What was he surrounded by all day long? Sand. What was he surrounded by all night long? Stars. God was surrounding him with vision. Why? Because you become what you behold, and it's still true today. So why do you need to see your dream? Because God's word says in Proverbs 23:7, As a man thinks in his heart, so does he become. So images make your dream come alive. So when you design a vision board or a vision book, you are literally surrounding yourself with what can be, not just what is. And remember this powerful point. We move towards what we consistently see. So what are you seeing on a consistent basis? Let me tell you this, Brian Tracy said. He was given the illustration of the homing pigeon. Now this is a pretty cute pigeon, right? So he said, there's no other creature on earth who has this remarkable goal-seeking function like a homing pigeon, except, I'll explain. He said if you take a homing pigeon, put him in a cage, put a blanket over the cage, put him in the back seat of your car and drive 1,000 miles any direction you want. You pull over, take the cage out, remove the blanket, and let the homing pigeon go free. He said that pigeon will fly up into the air, circle 3 times, and go right back to where you brought him. He said no other creature on earth has that remarkable goal-seeking function except you. Human beings are the only people, besides this pigeon, who have the ability to get so focused on a vision. And when you start moving towards the vision starts moving towards you. He kissed it. So, which brings me to the second indicator you have a dream from God. I mean, that's cute, right? Number 2 is if not everyone is as enthusiastic about your dream as you are. Here's what you have to remember. God hasn't necessarily told them what He's told you about your future. So don't expect everyone to come along and cheer you on and tell you your dream isn't crazy. No matter what others think or say, you're going to stand before God and give an account for your life, not their life. So don't wait around for people to go, yes, 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 you can do it. In fact, many people, even some closest to you, will say the very opposite. You can't do that. You're not qualified. You'll never have that. In fact, I remember hearing a true story about a girl named Catherine Lonigan who went off to college, wanted to be a writer, actually went on a writing scholarship. Well, she took her first writing class and she got an F. So she went to the professor and asked him, why did I fail this? He said, because you can't write. She said, what do you mean I can't write? She said, I came here on a scholarship to be a writer. She said, I was the editor of my school paper, my yearbook. What do you mean I can't write? Professor told her, he said, well, you're not a writer. He said, and if you stay in my class, you're going to fail. And if you fail my class, you'll lose your scholarship. She said, well, what do I do? He said, I'll make a deal with you. If you promise to never write again, I'll give you a passing grade, but you better change your major. So she did. This is a true story. So 15 years later, she's living in Texas, not writing, and she discovered they were making a movie in the town next to her. So some of her friends decided to go over and watch this movie being made. While everyone else is going up to the actors, she started talking to the writers. Well, one of them said, why are you interested in us and not the movie stars? She said, well, I've always wanted to be a writer. The guy said, I don't believe that. If you wanted to be a writer, you'd be a writer. She said, no, I was told by someone in authority that I wasn't a good writer. The guy said, no, I want you to write something and send it to me. I'll tell you if it's good or not. I do it for a living, I can tell you. So she writes a novel that she'd had in the back of her mind. She sent it to him. He said, is it okay if I send it to an agent in New York and see what they think? They decided to publish it. Her first book was called Romancing the Stone. Her second book was called Jewel of the Nile. Both were turned into movies starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. 15 years she allowed others to determine her future, but God called her to write. That's why it's so important that you get in a growth environment that causes you to keep growing, keeps you focused and moving towards your destiny. Subscribe to channels like this to keep your faith strong and focused. Don't let anyone talk you out of what God has put in your heart to do. Use this as an indicator you must be on target with God. Okay, number 3 is if it seems impossible. In other words, you are truly unable and even unqualified to fulfill it on your own. Let me remind you, if it were possible, it wouldn't require faith. Your dream will demand faith. The Bible says it's impossible to please God without faith. You know, my Icing Women's event looked utterly impossible. I can't make people want to come hear me speak in person. And back in 2010, when I started, not many people even knew me or even cared what I had to say. I had to rely on God 100%, and I still do. But I kept that vision so big on the inside of me. And little by little, as we stepped out in faith, he brought the people. We just said, we're going to have a conference, and if 10 people show up, we will inspire those 10 ladies with the best conference they've ever been to. We had 345 women show up to the first icing. We did it again by faith, and then 425 showed up, then 836, then 1,240, and it grew from there. So your dream, just like mine, will be something that stretches you. It's bigger than you are, and it demands that you say, Lord, I can't do this without you. I'm scared. I'm actually a little frightened, but I want you to know I am 100% dependent on you to see this dream come to pass. Now that pleases God. So let this be an indicator that your dream is from God. Now the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I think so many times we see other people going after their dreams and we just assume, boy, they're extremely confident. They knew all along it would be a huge success. But we don't realize that their knees were knocking and their teeth were chattering and they were truly stepping out in faith to see it happen. So remember this phrase, what's impossible with man is possible with God. So be sure to get your entire list of the 7 indicators you have a dream from God. It's in your free download taken straight from my latest book on the Alone Advantage. So just click the link in the description and remember, I'm cheering you on to live your dreams.
Get ready for transformation. Make plans now to attend the 2024 Next Conference with your host, Savelle Foy, success coach to hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. With special guests, Bob Bodine, author of The Power of Who, and Phil Cook, renowned marketing and media expert. Something special happens when you take action to invest in yourself in an atmosphere of faith and expectation. And this is your opportunity to gain the knowledge, relationships, resources, and clarity to make those big goals a reality. Don't delay. Get your tickets now to the premier Christian Success Conference. It's 2 life-changing days of inspirational, practical, and biblical success teachings designed to take your life, ministry, or business to the next level. And it's all happening November 15th and 16th in Dallas, Texas. So head over to terry.com to get your tickets today.